Go ahead, let me bring this over. I am live. All right, we are on and in. It is now 6 o'clock exactly. Running. I normally try to get here early, but today I'm running just a little bit behind. Mistakes, right? Mistakes I have made. So, what is going on, family? Welcome to the Self-Employed Tax Guys YouTube channel. I'm your favorite uncle cousin, Tyrone Gregory. Back at it, I believe this is our sixth session or 6 weeks streaming live, right? I have been doing this 6 weeks straight as of today. Truly amazing. So happy to be here. Again, always we're doing this live, so I want to make sure I can be heard, I can be seen. Um, Give me sound check if you can hear me, if you can see me, say something in the comments. Mr. Vin Hennessy, see you. Good to see you again. Welcome back. Good evening, everybody. Man, how are y'all feeling? It's Friday. What is today? April the 24th. Another week down. Hope everybody's feeling good. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody is maintaining, growing despite everything. Hope everything is going well for everybody. So, real quick. For some reason, the IRS needs help spreading information about this stimulus package, which for the life of me, I'm like, you mean to tell me that enough people don't know about this? Because every call I get is about this stimulus package. So I'm really kind of confused as to why the IRS sent me some information saying they need help spreading the information. Now, if you know of any individual who is receiving veterans benefits or VA benefits, who's receiving SSI, or they normally don't have a filing requirement, if you know somebody like that, please have them still file what is called an economic impact tax return. That is simply an informational tax return. Is going to let the IRS know that, hey, I don't have a filing requirement, but I do want to receive my stimulus that's available to me. So if you know anybody like that, get that to them. But outside of that, I don't see why the IRS needs help spreading that information, right? Because I do believe by now everybody is full aware of the stimulus. Okay, so let me just see who's checking in here. Sketches to Design. What's going on, fam? Welcome. Glad to see you here. Um, Walter says, he haven't got his yet. How can he check? Well, and Mr. Vin Hennessy also asked the same question. So there is a website you can go to and check when you can expect to receive your stimulus. However, that site is extremely glitchy. It's telling some people that they haven't processed the information yet. It may say that they don't have information on file. It may not even come up with anything at all. On the other hand, some people are experiencing no problems with the website at all. I'll make sure that I link to that here in the comments. But don't worry, if you haven't got yours yet, be patient. It's coming. That much I do know. I do believe they'll be sending out some more next week. There isn't any specific pattern. We don't have specific dates in mind. Well, the IRS hasn't told us like, okay, yeah, they'll be sending them out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or things like that. That part I don't know. I do know that if you have not received your stimulus check yet, be patient. It is coming. Welcome to the group, Flooring Professional. It's good to see you. I appreciate you being here. So, I guess we'll go ahead and get to the subject now. I want y'all to be open and honest, right? Mistakes. That's what I want to talk about today. Making mistakes in business, because I've definitely made a lot of mistakes in my business journey. I don't look at mistakes as negative things, right? I don't really beat myself up when I make mistakes. And I'm hoping that you're not beating yourself up when you make mistakes. Mistakes to me is a natural part of being human. Mistakes are what we learn from. Mistakes is how we develop. Mistakes is how we learn. So I like mistakes, and trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes. If I was to really sit down here and go over the list of mistakes that I've made, it would be like you know on a cartoon when they drop the scroll and it just rolls on out to the next scene. That's what would be me if I listed my mistakes here. So what I want to do in the comments as I'm talking, I want you to list some of the mistakes that you've made, right? In business, right? We don't want to get too much in personal in life like that. I mean, if you want to, obviously feel free. I don't want you, to share too much personal information, but leave a comment. What mistakes have you made in business? And I'm just going to share my top 10 mistakes that I've made in business. And not only share with you these mistakes, but how I bounce back. And hopefully, so if you find yourself in this situation, you can kind of do the same thing. So yeah, let me see. We got some more comments here, real quick. Sketches to Design says, I know a couple of people that said they received the check. I'm too busy trying to get my paperwork together to get my business legit. That's what I'm talking about, right? You're not even focused on getting the refund. You focusing on making sure your business is legit, making sure your character on paper is pristine. I salute you on that one. So yeah, let's go ahead. Talk about mistakes. We all make them. And again, this particular session is I'm going to share some mistakes that I've made in my business personally. Not in no particular order, just something as I was thinking about it that came down to mind. Um, the first one, which probably should be number one, is not starting sooner. I have been in love with the idea of entrepreneurship for as long as I can remember. Um, but I've always had a W-2 job, right? I've always had that secure job, or at least the seemingly secure job. And the reason I say that this is seemingly secure, because when we compare a W-2 job versus an actual entrepreneurship, we have to ask, is there a difference? And to me, there isn't a difference. But that's a mistake that I had to learn the hard way. Because as an entrepreneur, we have responsibilities, right? Like a lot of people don't look at entrepreneurship because it's a fearful type of career choice, right? You're 100% responsible for everything. If you don't work, you don't eat. Um, Things can go wrong. You can be, broke or whatever. But when I look at that and compare to being a W-2, and I ask this question often: is there a difference between an employee and employer? And it really isn't, because as a W-2 employee, the same things can happen, right? You can go into your job and mess up, and now you don't have a job no more. Um, you have the same amount of responsibility. You have to get up, you have to do things in order to get that income. Same as an entrepreneur. Like if you don't work, you don't eat. It's the same thing. So I made the mistake of thinking that a W-2 job was more secure than entrepreneurship. Now, there is a lot of things that go along with that. Like you can't just hop up and decide to be an entrepreneur, say, I'm going to do it, right? You really have to uh, have a blueprint, have a plan ready to do so. But I wasted at least, I'm going to give myself at least 8 years not starting a business. The self-employed tax company, the company that I have now, should have been started so long ago, but I didn't. And now that I've started the business, I am seeing just how beneficial it is. And I can imagine what would have happened if I would have did this 8 years ago, where I would be at now, right? So first mistake is not starting soon enough. So if you are contemplating or you're on the fence, should I not? I'm going to say do it. If I try to live with no regrets, but honestly, I regret not starting sooner. Okay. Um, so definitely that's number one. Second one on my list is forming entities. Notice the plural, forming entities too soon. Now, it's no hidden fact that I'm not a fan of starting, keyword starting your business with an entity, particularly an LLC. And the reason I'm not a fan of that is because, from my own personal experience, I had multiple entities, C corps, LLCs, partnerships, um, and I pretty much think that's the only types of business entities out there. I mean, there are other ones, but for purposes of this one, those three, I had my hand in all of them. I was so into the mindset that this entity, or the fact that I have this entity, makes me a business owner, or the fact that I have this entity makes me an entrepreneur. And that is the biggest mistake that I've ever made. Why? Because I wasted so much money. I remember back in the early 2000s, um, I had formed my first C corporation, and I did it because it was easy to do. I had the money. I paid somebody close to 1,500 to get it done. Um, and when I got it, it was like cool. It came in this beautiful package. It had templates for my meeting notes, for my shareholders meeting, and I was like, "Oh, look at me! I'm gonna have shareholders, and people are gonna invest in my business, and I'm gonna be the richest man in America, and all this." So, I had all of these ideas because I thought forming an entity was going to automatically put me in a position to have a successful business. And when I tell you that was a mistake, my people, that was a mistake. Nothing happened. That business sat on the shelf probably for like 3 years. And I think I did absolutely nothing with it. Absolutely nothing with it. I mean, when I say I did nothing, the only thing I did was fill out the paperwork to form this corporation. And I can't stress that enough. Nothing happened, right? I didn't I didn't even have a business idea in mind. I don't think. I just wanted a business. I just wanted so bad to be a business owner that I set out, spent all this money on forming an entity and did absolutely nothing with it. Now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me stop. I did do something with it. I went and got business cards. Yeah, that is something else I did. I got business cards with the company name on it, had my name, CEO at the end, right? Because that was the thing. I was popping collar. Look, I got my business CEO, and I gave it to people. And it really bust my bubble when somebody was like, "Oh, cool. What do you do?" Oh, yeah, that's a good question. None right now. I'm just an owner of a corporation. I'm a business owner. That's what I do. Being a business owner is not something you do. That is not a verb, so to speak. That's like a noun, a title. It doesn't generate profit and or revenue. So I formed it too soon. Now again, I know my LLC videos, kind of controversial, but I'm gonna stick by that. And the reason I say because it's really a mistake in the beginning, right? Entities, LLCs, S corps, C corps, they have their purpose and they have their place at the right time. Okay, a lot of times in the beginning phases, it is not necessary. Okay, it is true that forming it later on, once we start to see revenues go up, once we start to see contracts get bigger, once we take on more risk, more liability, then we can look into forming LLCs and S corps and C corps and things like that. But not in the beginning. So that was probably one of the biggest mistakes that I've made, was definitely forming an entity way too soon. Okay, it cost me money more than it made me money. So keep that in mind. Um, and I'm gonna go for the third one here, and then I'm gonna kind of take a look in the comments because I see y'all talking about the mistakes that you guys made, and I'm anxious to get to that. So the third mistake that I've made in business was to be too trusting. Now, I love everybody. Right? That's why I'm your favorite uncle cousin. You know I love you. Um, and I just love everybody and I trust everybody up front. When dealing with me, trust is 100% given up front. I give you all of my trust up front. And the only way I won't trust you is if you diminish that trust over time down to zero. Because I'm gonna give you 100% off the back. Because I love people the way my wife thinks that's the issue, right? She's like I'm too trusting, but that's why we balance each other out. But I will admit that's a mistake. Um, because if I go back into me paying the $1,500 for this corporation, somebody pumped me up, right? They had me feeling real good about spending this money. And I trusted that individual. And I gave that individual $1,500. Now, did that individual deliver? Yeah, I owned a corporation. But what that individual told me would come next after the ownership of the corporation never happened. Right? Me being able to walk into a dealership, talk to the fleet manager, and say, hey, I own this corporation. You're the fleet manager, so I should be able to get that vehicle at a very extremely discounted rate. Didn't happen. So mistakes when I'm talking about trusting, I don't want us to go out there and not trust. We have to have trust in relationships, especially business relationships, but we also have to balance that trust, right? We want to trust but verify, which is the mistake that I made extremely early on in my entrepreneur excuse me journey. I just trusted. If you talk business, if you said you knew how to get a corporation, if you knew how to increase my credit score from here to 900 or something, if you mentioned anything business to me, I was all ears, I was gullible, and I was like, take my money. Okay. Too trusting. Now that I've learned my lesson, now that I went to the school in hard knocks, I still love people. I still see the best in people. I still see the good in people. So I'm still trusting. But now I'm like, okay, let me just get a little bit more information. Let me seek the validity of what it is you're telling me. Let me make sure that this makes sense for me. Okay. And that's what I say, trust but verify, because there's a lot of information out there. Okay. Uh, I get emails all the time with people talking about how they're receiving conflicting information on the web, right? And it makes sense because there is a lot of conflicting information out there. Some information is good, some information is bad. But when it comes to people, you want to trust but verify. And the reason is when people give information, they're giving a generalized statement, or they're giving it an overall purview for you to look at, a big picture, so to speak, so you can buy whatever it is from them, including me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm your favorite uncle cousin. I know you love me and I love you, but I want you to trust me, but also verify that what I am saying to you is going to work for you. Okay. In every situation is different. That's why a lot of my answers start with it depends, because without knowing everything, I cannot really give an answer to you specifically. So trust me, yes, but also please go back and make sure that what I am saying is going to best benefit you, right? Because I'm speaking in huge generalities, right? I'm like, okay, this is specific, not specific, but this is just the basic concept. Is that going to work for everybody? Of course not. So as much as I appreciate you listening and tuning in and trusting me, right? Please make sure that you also go back and verify and make sure, do further research, just to make sure that what I am saying is beneficial for you. Okay. So let me stop there. I'm gonna pause there. And we're gonna continue on, kind of take a look at some of the comments here and see what mistakes people have made. Uh, Van Hennessy says, underbidding for my services. Oh, yes, man. That is, like I said, if I had a list, boy, it'd be as long as Pacific Coast Highway, because that is probably one of the things that I've done, underbidding for my services, not being confident in my numbers, right? Trying to see, I don't want to be so high as to where I may lose the contract. And then when I get it, because I was low, and then I'm like, man, this is a lot of work. I should have bid more. I should have did that. I've done that, Mr. Ennis. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. Walter says he procrastinated with his DBA. Now it's in limbo between LegalZoom and the government. Well, Walter, you know what? You're doing it because you're doing a DBA, which is a good thing for starters. I'm going to say that even though it's in limbo, you still can start with the process. And then once it's good, you should be good to go. Let's see here. Phil for president in 2020 says, being an independent contractor by accident, yes, that happens, was a major mistake. Didn't know how to do taxes on it and still don't know how to do that. Well, Phil, we can talk about that. I'm hoping that what I'm doing next, my next project, will actually help out on that. But having been consistent with tracking income, W-2, then it says, what am I to do? Well, like I said, Mr. President, candidate, right, Phil for president 2020. That's a mistake I made too. In all honesty, how I ended up here, not tracking everything I thought I was supposed to, not understanding taxes in its entirety. Because before I was a tax guy, I was in construction, right? That's why I understood what Mr. Van Hennessy was talking about, because I did underbid a lot of contract just to win it and then regretted it. But one of the things is the fact that I knew construction only. Then I let somebody else file my tax. It was a big, huge ordeal. Got a bunch of love letters from the IRS. And so I decided, you know what? Never again. I'll learn it myself. And now here I am, 13 years later. So it's a very, very interesting how I arrived here. But definitely understand you, Phil, president, but we're going to work that out. Let's see. Sketch to Design says, I can relate to that. Should have started years ago, but that corporate America was steady hitting. Yeah, it's starting sooner. It is hard to make that transition from, I guess, mentally and psychological. It is all in your mind. Seeing that check hit your account every week or every 2 weeks, and it's like, man, it feels secure because you see it, and you don't. I don't see. That's the thing. I don't know. I can't say you don't work for, because if you don't go to work, you don't get that check. Same as entrepreneurship. If you don't go to work, you don't get that deposit. So it's psychological, but yes. So let me kind of get back to us. I don't want to have us going on, but like I said, we can talk hours on mistakes. So let's see. The fourth one was not selling. That's a mistake. Now, all these mistakes we can see kind of tie back in to one another. Okay. But a big mistake I made was not selling. Kind of going back to what Van Hennessy was saying and underbidding for my services. I always had a fear of quoting a price to a customer, even though I know my worth, I know my value. I always had that fear of rejection from a customer when it comes to my product or service. So I didn't really sell per se. Now there's an 80-20 rule, and I'm sure we've heard of it often, or at least you have heard of it at least at some point in your life. 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time you should be selling, right? At least the products. 20% of the time, that's where you want to maybe give your charitable, you'll give away something for free, or you'll do something at a discount, something like that. But I had it reversed. 80% of the time, I was giving away stuff for free. I was selling things at an extremely discounted rate. Maybe only 20% of the time that I actually say this is the price, take it or leave it kind of thing. I remember distinctively, I had put together a whole session, a whole course, a whole business coaching program. And I was just giving it to people because I was scared of selling it, right? I didn't want to get that rejection. And I was just like, here's the program, here it is, do what it is, boom. And the pivoting point for me, the point that made me change my whole entire perspective is that my sister went through the program. I can say went through the program, but I kind of coached her one-on-one, broke it down, everything from start to finish, from taxes to everything for her business. And it was my sis, so it was free. But what the pivoting moment is when she took a trip to go to an actual more, I guess, organized type of seminar. Like they actually had workshops broken out. It was in a hotel. It was fancy, and she paid over $5,000 to gain access to that information. And when she came back in town, and so I was like, "So how was it?" She was like, "You know what? I just paid $5,000 to receive the same information that you just gave me for free." So she was quite disappointed. And I was like quite disappointed in myself. But it was an eye opening. There are people charging premium prices from what I'm giving away for free. So I had to learn to understand that you don't pay me for what I do, you pay me for what I know. And there's the difference. That's what I had to understand. And don't get me wrong, I'm still somewhat struggling with that because I love to help people. That my passion is to help people. I'm like, man, if I can give it to you here, take it, be successful, I'm good to go. That's just who I am. So I still struggle with that even now today. I mean, think about it. Not too many people know that I actually prepare my taxes. Okay. Um, so it's when it comes to selling, I don't really put it out there, but I have a full blown tax company that offers bookkeeping services, tax preparation for individuals on up to C Corps. I can bookkeeping, audit assistance, business for, I do everything, but I don't advertise it. I don't put it out there. So selling is a mistake that I've made, or not selling is definitely a mistake that I have made. I'll be honest with you and transparent. It's something, a mistake that I'm probably still making right now today, like I just admitted, because I don't really advertise my business as much as I know I should be. So it's a work in progress, but I'm transparent enough and confident enough to know that, it's helping me, right? I'm getting better because my business is still sustaining me, right? But I know I can do more if I just really flip that 80-20 around. I mean, if I do 80% sell, then I can give away 20%, right? So that's definitely one of my mistakes. Next mistake that I've made is not using an accounting system. Now, hear me out. I do taxes, right? Bookkeeping and all that good stuff. But I'm pretty sure you've heard me say it many a times. You've heard me mention it many a time. Oh, old school kind of dude. I love Microsoft Excel, or now I'm using Google Sheets. Love it. I love going into an Excel and typing in a formula and then this, when you, as soon as you enter this number, all these boxes appear with numbers in them, and there's grand totals, and I can make that appear over in other sheets. And I love Microsoft Excel. So I've always done my tracking in Excel. It proved great, right? I've always tracked everything. I've understood my income. I've understood my expenses. I know where my money is going. I know when my money is coming in. I understand where my deficits are, all through Excel, right? And again, I'm not saying that nothing is better or worse. Like I said, because every individual is different. Remember, I'm a fan of pen and paper. As long as you're tracking it, I'm okay with it. But personally, not using an accounting system like Zero or QuickBooks or Peachtree or something like that where you can enter in everything was a mistake, because now that I'm using it, and the one I'm using is Zero. And again, I mention them because I use them. I don't have an affiliate link with them. I have no ties with them, but that's just the system that I'm using. One of these days when I get me some software that's going to allow me to share my screen on these live streams, I have to walk you through a Zero and why I like it, because it's just very great. Once I've connected my bank account to it, and this is the one thing I couldn't do this in Excel. I couldn't connect my bank account to Excel. I would have to download it manually and convert it over from PDF to an Excel readable and do everything that way. But with Zero, I'm able to connect it to my bank account. So every time I do a transaction, whether I use a card, if it's online, and it records the bank account transaction, Zero says, "Hey, we see that this was spent. We need to reconcile it." Right? I can reconcile easy with the click of a button. Invoicing people when I would like. So at first, I used Excel to track my clients. Right, I had a whole client base. Well, this is the name. This was the outcome. This was the amount that they owe to me. Now everything is in Zero. I just created invoice, which is beautiful because now I don't have to go searching for invoices that are past due, overdue, or anything like that. It's literally just right there. Everything is right there. So it makes it just that much convenient. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that pen and paper won't work. I'm not saying that Excel won't work or Sheets won't work. I'm just saying for me and what I'm trying to achieve, not using an actual accounting system was a mistake, because now that I'm using it, I'm that much more efficient. I'm that much more on top of things. I'm that much more alert. The reports that gets produced as a report of that, I'm that much more informed. So to me, using an accounting system of some sort is a mistake for me. Okay. So let me pause right there. I see we have some lot comments coming in. People talking about the mistakes. Let's see. Rayon Williams Sports TV did my 2018 self-employed taxes. I had a few W-2s in it this year. I did the 2019 on the 15th, and a guy told me my accounts wasn't on file for 2018. Okay, this is something else. Let's see. But how long normally does the IRS take to do a return? Well, Mr. Rayon, let me ask the question. When you did your 2018, did you mail it in or did you electronically file it? That makes a huge difference as far as how long it takes the IRS to get it in the system and get it processed. If you mailed it in, most likely it didn't, because they take a long time processing it. And now that this COVID-19 has hit us, they're taking extremely longer to process it. So, it really truly all depends there. Okay. But let me know in the comment there, when did you do it or how you did it, and we can kind of get an estimate and try to figure out what's going on. But we can talk about that offline if need be. All right. Let's see. Tim Johnson said, "I don't want to make the mistake getting my EIN or TIN versus LLC. What are my thoughts? I know I need a tax number to collect tax and pay it, right?" No. So, again, that's probably a mistake that a lot of us make, is thinking that we need certain things to do business. That's probably a big mistake. We can have a whole conversation just on what is needed to do business. You don't need a tax ID to do business. You don't need an LLC to do business. Um, EIN, TIN, you don't need any of that to do business and to pay taxes. So, Tim, let me just see if I can address that mistake. You wouldn't be making a mistake if you did not get an EIN. You would not be making a mistake if you didn't get an LLC. Because EIN, let's break that down real quick, stands for Employer Identification Number. Therefore, if you have an EIN, it is assumed that you have employees, because that is an employer identification number. So if you don't have employees, then you don't need and employee identification number. That's what those are used for. Um, Corporations, by definition and by law, have to have EIN numbers. Okay. And that's corporations, meaning C Corps, S Corps. Single member LLCs are not required to have EINs because a single member LLC is treated the same exact as a sole proprietor. So again, don't need an EIN for that. Um, and the reason that corporations require an EIN is because as a corporation, you, the sole owner of that corporation, is going to be the employee of that company. And you have to put yourself on payroll. So that's why it's an automatic requirement for corporations. But it's definitely not needed. The conversation of what's needed to collect and pay taxes, the only thing you need to do to collect and pay taxes is make money. That's it. The minute that you make money as an entrepreneur, then you will pay tax on that money. There's nothing needed. No, a lot of people get EINs because they don't want to use their social. Well, if you read the Schedule C, they really prefer that if you don't have employees, don't use your EIN anyway. Use your social. It makes things easier for the IRS. So that's something. I guess we'll save a conversation for later. But trust me, Tim, is not a which is best. It's just understanding that without a tax ID number, without an LLC, you still can handle your business. You still can make $1 million without an LLC, without an EIN number, and still report it using your social security number. Those are just formalities. So please don't let that hinder you or stop you from starting right now. That was my mistake, thinking that I needed all these things and I didn't. So if you have, Tim, if you have something you want to do it now with all that. If you think you need it for something more specifically, shoot me an email. We'll have that conversation offline. Definitely. Okay. Walter says the business has to make at least 50,000 a year for LLC. Well, definitely, I'm gonna say there is, in my opinion, a financial threshold, right? But it's not just the LLC; it's an LLC taxed as an S corp. Because if you're just going to be a single member LLC, eh, I don't know. It's kind of like you could be a sole proprietor. Just get some good business insurance because single member LLCs are completely overrated. I believe LLCs taxed as S corps are the strategy that if you're going to go for LLC, go for that single purpose. Get that LLC, have it be tagged as an S corp because there's a lot of ways you can change money on that or change the color of money. A lot of things you can do, a lot of strategies that come along with that. And at that point, depending on where you are, depending on the financial situation and resources available to you, will determine what that number is. A lot of times, but just to be honest with you, Arthur, a lot of times, between 40 to 60,000 is that range to make that change, but it really all depends. Okay. Um, let's see here. Somebody said, let's see, beautifully. I just started another business where I help aspiring or startup entrepreneurs form and launch their business. My nonprofit will provide grants for low income people at the cost. Okay. I'm not sure how that's a mistake, but I'm glad that you're doing that. Got to build it up, definitely. Elvis says, may I ask a tax question? Sure, you sure can. But let me, because I said we got a lot of comments, so let me just kind of finish my mistakes and then I'll just focus solely on comments here. So where did I leave off at? Hold on one second. Let me grab me some water. I don't want to advertise for nobody, so let me turn the logo around. Good old H2O. All right. So let's see. Next mistake I've made was doing too many things at once. I think that's just my downfall, period, man. I like to get involved in everything. I had a saying once that said, if you ever ask me, can I do? The answer will never be no. Anytime you ask me, Tyrone, can you? I'm going to just say yes. And I realized that was a mistake. There's an old proverb, and I got this proverb. I learned this proverb reading this book called The One Thing, and it talks about prioritizing. And the proverb says, chase two rabbits, you won't catch neither one. And it's amazing that in the book called The One Thing, that is the first, when you open it up, that's the first thing you see, right? There's this proverb that says, if you chase two rabbits, you won't catch either one. Because the whole idea of the book is to focus on one thing at a time. And trust me, when I finally learned that concept, I started to see a lot more progress because trying to do everything at the same time, oh, that right there caused me to be extremely inefficient. Couldn't do nothing. Had multiple business going on at the same time. Now here's the thing. It's good to have multiple businesses, okay? But it's good to start one business, focus on that business, grow it, and then use that business as a catapult or catalyst for the next business. So now you can start this business, get it up and running, and that is self sufficient or self sustaining. So you don't have to dedicate that much time to it, but use the revenue, the capital, the connections you've made with that business, the customers you gained, and use that to start the second business and start that process over again. And you do it and you do it until you reach your goal. I didn't do it like that. I had multiple businesses going on at the same exact time, each requiring my full attention. And by that, neither one of them got off the ground. Just didn't happen. And I was insane because we know the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and over again, but expect a different result. I didn't change. I was doing that over and over again. Like, this is gonna work. It gotta work. I gotta make it happen. What is the problem? What's going on? Then I read that book, put everything into perspective, and now I changed the way and I can actually see my actual progression. Okay, so that was the mistake, doing too many things at once. Next mistake I made, probably still making, is not delegating. And the reason it's a mistake, this kind of goes back to the mistake that I just said I made, doing too many things at once. This also can kind of go back to me and trusting, being too trusting. At some point, I'm not trusting at all because I'm hands-on. I like to do it myself. I like to get involved. I like to tinker. I like to know what's happening at all times. And I understand that that can be hindering. Apparently, to my wife, it's extremely irritating, but I just have to be involved. I don't like to delegate. I don't trust it. This is mine. I'm going to do it, right? I don't want nobody else to do this because I don't trust that you're going to do it right. But that is a mistake because I can't do everything and still be efficient. It's impossible. So I am learning now to kind of delegate out the simple tasks, right? Delegate out the things that are easier to do, starting at home, teaching my son how to, do the videos, how to edit the videos in post-production, how to clean up the audio, things like that. My daughter, again, is learning the bookkeeping side, so maybe teaching her how to do the data entry, scanning the receipts, and putting all that, delegating out the small stuff. If you don't do it, you can become extremely overwhelmed, um, extremely inefficient, and it just becomes hard to build a team because you don't trust anybody else to do it. So try not to be so selfish as to where you cannot delegate. Because that is one of the biggest mistakes that I've made as an entrepreneur. Okay. The next one is not listening. Not listening. This one comes into, and I think I talked about this before, listening to our audience, listening to our customers, listening to the individual who is willing to pay you for your trade or service. I was pigheaded. For those of you who have been following me probably since I think the first video I uploaded on YouTube was about 2016, who's been following me then, you knew that I was had a business brand called Action from Square One. That was my first brand on YouTube. Matter of fact, some of the videos that are there, the self-employed video, that one is under. You'll see it at the bottom. It says Action from Square One. And I say not listening because even back then, my audience was telling me that the content that I was talking about, that's not what they wanted to hear. But I didn't listen. I was still trying to produce the content that I wanted to produce, the content that I set out to make, which was like business coaching. I had went um, and spent this money to get my business coaching license and things like that and became a life coach. And I wanted to focus on that, right? But that's not what my audience wanted. So it wasn't up until recently that I went from Action from Square One to, well, the self-employed tax guy. I had to listen because my audience was like, look, this is what we want from you. We don't want all of that, what you're talking about. We want to know about taxes and business. And it's amazing that when I made the change from Action from Square One to the self-employed tax guy, all these great things started to happen. YouTube channel all of a sudden exploded with subscribers, right? Started to build more relationships. Out of the self-employed tax guy came the self-employed tax company, my own tax company. It's like, if I would have listened sooner, again, I probably would be in a different position, doing a lot more things, probably achieving more goals faster. Per se, not to say that I'm not achieving goals now, I probably would just do it in a faster capacity, right? So not listening sooner is definitely a mistake that I made. Let's see, next one. Over consuming, but not acting. Over consuming and not acting is a mistake that a lot of us make. Me personally, again, kind of goes back to why I didn't start sooner. Because I was just consuming information, but like not acting on it. So podcasts, very popular, right? We mostly everybody has either listened to a podcast, they have their favorite podcast. You may even have a podcast. But I used to listen to a lot of podcasts back in the day. And these podcasts would give some excellent information, but I would never act on it. I would never take that information and put it into an actual plan. I would never make it happen. I just would like, hey, that's good. I can see that working. Like I would literally visualize it, right? I can see it, but I wouldn't put it in action. I feel like, you know what? I still need more. That's not enough. Like I would read books and it'd be something in that book and be like, that's a new concept. I need to go further, find out more about that before I can start. Like, so I'm not confident. And I fell into this trap, this loop of just consuming, did not act on anything at all until one day I was just like, man, I gotta act on this. It really was my wife, like she gave me a virtual slap in the face because we was having a discussion and I was telling her like, I don't feel like I know enough to get started. I got to study more. I have to read more. I have to find out more. And she kind of looked at me sideways and was like, you really realize just how much you do know? Like people come to you to get information and you are able to give it to them like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, but that don't mean I'm good enough to start. So after having that debate and realizing that, okay, I know enough. I may not be the expert, okay, but I know enough. And I think that's where we make the mistake as people. We consume so much because before we present ourselves to our audience, we want to be the expert, which is understandable because in order to help somebody, you do have to be able to solve their problems, which means you have to know something that they don't know. But that's the key. You just have to know something that they don't know. You don't have to know the entire encyclopedia of their problem. You just have to know that one thing that they don't know. So that was a mistake that I made. If that's you, then stop right now. Stop over consuming. Don't read no more books. Don't take no more seminars. Don't take no more courses. Don't do nothing. Start right now with what you have. Get it done. Okay, that's my heartfelt to you. Okay, and last but not least, because I want to finish this up and kind of go over the comments here. The mistake that I made, which again kind of goes back to the original one, was trying to be perfect. I struggle with perfectionism. My wife, again, I guess I gave her like a whole lot of comment today. Um, Being a perfectionist has always been like a downside of mine, I guess, which is a mistake that I've made. Everything that I do has to be at some point better than something else, right? It has to be it perfect in my mind. If it's not perfect, it won't happen. It can be something as simple as I don't know, just going on YouTube, right? But live, like I won't do it if I feel that everything isn't in the perfect position, the perfect place. I'm getting better with that. I'm getting better. I am letting go of trying to be a perfectionist. I'm like, you know what? If the information is good, if the information is clear, if it can be understood, then I'm letting it go. Because at first I have do, redo it again, stare at it. Can I get bother my kids and my wife? Like, come here. Can y'all look what you think? And if facial expressions didn't immediately light up off whatever I was talking about, like, okay, get out, I'm gonna go do it again. I would just waste so much time trying to perfect something that did not need to be perfected. So again, if that is you, if you share that characteristic like your favorite uncle cousin, then we, because I'm still working on it, um, need to do what we can do to feel comfortable with releasing things as is. Okay, perfectionism will only halt us. It will only impede us. It will only slow us down. So let's try not to be a perfectionist in business. Let's just, if we have a product that is going to help somebody, that is going to serve a community, it is going to serve a need, then let's get it out there. We'll perfect it as we go. That's what I'm learning. We'll perfect it as we go. We'll put it out there. Our customers will consume it. They'll pay for it. They'll enjoy it. And then we'll get feedback. Okay, well, what can we do to make it better next time? And we work on it from there. But if we try to make the perfect product or service and then launch, we'll probably never launch it. So those are my top 10 mistakes that I've made in my business. I hope you can resonate with those and kind of uh, put that back in your business and don't make the mistakes that I've made. So let's see, going back to the comments here and see what we have. Philly D says, looking to start my own business, but I'm not sure if this time is right with the virus and stay at home is happening. Well, Philly D, I'll say this. It is never not a right time to start your business, if that makes sense. Well, matter of fact, let me rephrase it. Now, I don't know what the business is. I don't know if there's something that you need to be physically in front of people in order to make a sale, or if this is something you can do online. But what I can say is this: now is the time to perfect your craft. Now is the time to get everything underway. Where if your business model requires you to physically be in front of people, then as soon as this is over, you should be ready to hit the door running because you've mastered everything while you couldn't be physically in front of people. So I say that. Um, so it may not be the right time to start physically, right? Like launch per se. But again, you need to be working on everything right now until it's time to physically get out there and do what you need to do. All right. So I'll say that. Um, Again, yes, and she like beautifully agreed with me. Said it's never going to be the right time, so do it now. Remember, that was my first mistake, not starting sooner. So definitely, if we want to know what time is the right time, it may never happen. So do it now. Okay. Um, it says on top of that, the owner wants to lock me in on a 5-year lease, killing me. 1 to 2 year would be better. You know, leasing is important. Something we can probably think about, especially if you. So it seems like you do need something physical, a storefront or something like that. 5-year lease may be too long. With this office space that I'm here, I only signed a 1-year lease just because I wanted to see if this location would work. Um, if my customers would like this location, does this work for y'all? Because again, I'm serving the community. It's not for me. I like it, right? So far, so good. I'm able to still do video. It is room enough for me to do a lot of things. I can turn this to a multi-purpose office, but still, I wanted a 1 to 2 year lease as well. So shop around, right? Or try to negotiate. If you feel that that place you're looking at is the perfect place, but again, we're not trying to be a perfectionist. But if you can't find something similar, shop around. I would definitely say that. Um, let's see here. Phil, president says, thank you for the answer, but I'm waiting. Oh, well, Phil, we will definitely have that conversation. Don't worry about it here. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm getting everything else here. Levi Apparel, welcome back. Good to see you. All right, let's see. Philly D says, so realistically, you can make more if you sold more. Yeah, that's always right. That's hypothetically if money was all you was after, which is clearly not. True, money to me is not the goal. Money to me is a means to a goal. So money is never my goal. I mean, obviously we need money to pay our rent, pay our mortgages, pay our utilities, feed our belly, clothe ourselves. But my goal is to make people successful, right? And hopefully receiving capital is a byproduct of that. But my whole goal is to make people successful by helping them build a solid foundation, right? So definitely. Um, let's see. Elvis Diaz says this company is telling me I need a tax ID to be able to buy wholesale from them. So wholesaling is different, Elvis. I'll be honest with you. And for those who are watching, let me say this. If because not everybody knows everything. Not every company, not every business is sharp when we're dealing with humans across the board. A lot of people, if they say that in order to do business with me or in order for us to make this transaction happen, you need an EIN, then by all means get one. Of course, I said earlier in this video, you don't need one. I don't recommend you get one. But if you're dealing with somebody who says, unless you have one, I'm not going to give you your product, then by all means get one. They're free, right? You can go to irs.gov, in the search bar, type in EIN, and it will take you to an online application and you can get an EIN for free in under 15 minutes. So again, if you're dealing with someone or some business that absolutely needs you to have an EIN, then by all means get one. But if that's not the case, you know, an EIN is not going to make and or break you. Having one is not going to cause you to get in trouble. It's not, you don't have to report taxes. Like if you get an EIN and never use it, then guess what? You just had an EIN and you never used it. So it's free, it's ancillary, it's really not needed unless you really have employees. Okay. Um, let's see here. Phil says, am I considered an LLC if I register with the California Franchise Tax Association? No. If you're in California, Phil, the only way you're going to become an LLC is if you file articles of organization. Note that is different from articles of incorporation, okay? LLCs file articles of organization with the Secretary of State. If you did not do that, you are not an LLC, especially in California. All right. Um, Philly D, you starting mess on that comment. Some owners have EIN, but their workers are under the table and not on payroll. Yes, that is true, right? And hopefully, paying people under the table, that's just a whole that's a whole can of worms. We don't even get into that. That's why California AB5 exists. And it's funny that that's the reason why California AB5 exists. And yet, California AB5 is probably one of the most hated assembly bills that I've heard about thus far. But we'll kind of get into that later. Okay. Simple Text says, what do you mean by changing the color of money? You mean black or green to red on the ledger? Oh, no. Well, changing the color of money, meaning that you can do things and not have to pay taxes. For example, I'm gonna just give a quick example on that because we're already at our hour mark. An LLC taxes an S corp. You are the employee of your corporation, right? You are the corporate. You own the corporation, but you're also an employee of the corporation. Now, when we get into specific strategies, we have to one of the one of my fun ones I like to talk about is who owns the vehicle. Should the S corp own the vehicle, or should you own the vehicle personally and lease it back to the S corp, or get reimbursed from the S corp? So let's say you chose the route to get reimbursed from the S corp. So you would put together an accountable plan, and under the accountable plan, you would then turn in mileage logs to your corporation. You would say, hey, corporation, which is myself. So at that point, you'd be talking to yourself. Um, I drove 1,500 miles last month. Here's my mileage log. I want $1,500. So here's how the money, the color of money changes. That $1,500 expense you turn into your corporation, it's going to write you a check for $1,500. Guess what? That check for $1,500 is going to be deductible to the corporation, but not taxable to you. See how we just changed the color of money? Like we get to like have fun with it. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like just doing certain strategies when you get to that S corp type status, and there's a lot more things involved in that. But it's fun when we have S corp. That's why I say just don't get an LLC, get it, make it an S corp. Let's have some fun changing the color of money. All right, let's see here. Where else? Oh boy, I'm gonna have to just breeze through these because we got some comments and we already passed the hour mark, y'all. Um, Trucking with Mr. Coach, man, better late than never, bro. So I'm glad you're here. Uh, Unique View says I need a business coach. Really? Well, I said I went to school for it. Right, I got certified for it, so I'm a business coach. But I decided to use that in my taxes. But if you need to, you go ahead, shoot me an email. We can make something happen. Um, let's see what else here. Thanks for sharing the light. Always a pleasure to help out, man. Uh, can I do a video on ways to do bookkeeping for small businesses? And that's from sketches to design. Actually, I am working on that. The video is going to be budgeting versus bookkeeping, or budgeting versus accounting, and why the need for both is extremely important, because we'll probably do one and not the other, but we need both. So I'm working on a video for budgeting versus bookkeeping. Okay, let's see here. It's a mechanic show. Okay, I'm trying to scroll through these here. So Simple Text says that it's so true. I have held on to a few documents, not releasing them to the public, that I need the public to have because it's not my understandable. Okay. Michelle Larson says this live is exactly what I need. Oh, much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. You're consuming too much and trying to try to perfect all the products before opening up the Etsy shop. You just need to do it. Yes. I think that's probably why I put that down as my first mistake, not starting sooner. Man, but the minute I got started, everything started to flow beautifully. So please, If you are hesitating, stop it. Do it. Begging you. I'm begging people live on YouTube right now. Even for people who be watching on the replay, I'm begging. Stop procrastinating. Get it done right now. Right now. As a matter of fact, next time we talk, I need a report from everybody that says, hey, I started. This is the outcome. I'm making that. I can't make it mandatory because I can't control your computer. But I'm saying I'm just really putting it out there. I want to report the next time we talk on who actually got started. Okay. And I'm gonna record these comments so I know who said that they've been procrastinating. Okay. Um, Elvis, much appreciated to you too. Unique view again. Appreciate you, Philly D. You opened a can of mess. Yes, you did, man. Yes, you did. It's funny because somebody really sent me a text message, and I posted it on my social media. That somebody asked that question, like, "How can I pay somebody under the table and then write it off?" And I'm like, uh, I I can't help with tax evasion. I can't do it, right? Because it just can't do it. So let's see here. Let's see. Simple Tech. My buddy and I partnered with in the past for a period of time. Had to do an S corp, not an LLC. That's another topic. Uh, so forgive me for the length because we are still going over. Understand something. An S corp is not an entity. You cannot fill out paperwork to file an S corp. You cannot do it. An S corp is a type of tax. Okay? It's a type of taxation. So the underlying entity is always going to be either an LLC, a C corp, or a partnership. Those are the only three things you can actually form. The other thing is the paperwork is you can have your your C corp tax as an S corp. You can have your LLC tax as an S corp. You can have your partnership tax as an S corp. But the S corp itself is just a status. It is not an entity. So make sure we clear that up. I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you, because a lot of people get that confused. And let's see what else here. All right, man. Let me scroll down some more. So last one, I'm gonna just scroll through this real quick. Flowing professional, man. You call me a blessing. You are a blessing because without you, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you. Turkey Mr. Coach says, if you already have an LLC, is it possible and worth it to have an S corp? It depends, right? My favorite answer, it depends, because S corp status costs to be an S corp administratively, right? The form to fill out with the IRS to have the election is free. But when you get an S corp, there's administrative charges. You now have to fill out a separate tax return on an 1120S that kicks out a K1 that goes on your personal tax return, which increases the price of your personal tax return. Then there's payroll out. Having an S corp cost. So what I like to do is, y'all know your favorite Uncle Cousin, I always say, run me those numbers, then we can do a comparison. Okay, if you're making this much as a sole member LLC, what would it like making this much as an S corp? And we can compare and see, okay, it'll either save you money or cost you money. Always run the numbers. All right. Um, let's see. That's called an engagement challenge. Simple Text says, I put out an engagement challenge. Well, I'm gonna put it out there. I'm challenging everybody here and watching later. If you're procrastinating, I need to get reports next week. You got 7 days to get started. No excuses. Let's do this. All right. Simple Tech said they accept the challenge. Just put Simple Tech on blast live. You accepted the challenge. I put you out there. We're gonna see. Okay. Um, let's see here. Let's see here. Do you really need an LLC if you don't have any assets? Absolutely not. Please go watch that video that I made. Let's see here. Sketch to Design is laughing, right? Because they're trying to get me mixed up in the shenanigans, asking about under the table. Yes, Mr. Oliver, appreciate you being here, sir. Another great show. Appreciate it. Trucking Mr. Cup says thank you. Brown Sugar Babe 0823. How should I file my taxes if I do both independent contractor and work normal W-2 in the same year? Follow it as you normally would, right? The only thing is you're at this point be adding a Schedule C to your 1040. The Schedule C is where you're going to report all of your income expenses for the independent contractor work. Then take the final result, line 31 of Schedule C, and that's going to transfer over to line 12 of your 1040. Add that with the W-2, and then it goes from there. I know y'all thinking like, yeah, it sound easy, right? But easier said than done. But technically, it is that easy. You just add a Schedule C to your 1040 and the rest of your work out, especially if you're using online software like TurboTax, H&R Block, or something like that. Um, let's see what else here. Let's see. I'll be here for the next live stream. Good, good, good. Subscribe with the bell. Good. All right, everybody saying thank you. So good. Unique View says, can I do videos more often? Trust me, there was probably another mistake that I was going to put on here was not being consistent, because I do videos as I get questions, not necessarily thinking of things. But that's why I'm glad that I'm doing these lives every week, because you guys are keeping me accountable. It's getting me used to doing things on a consistent basis, because as you know, I was not doing things on a consistent basis. So doing this every Friday, thanks to y'all, I'm learning to be consistent. And because of that, I do believe I will be able to produce more videos. And hopefully we'll be able to learn a lot, grow together, do a lot together. Um, man, so yes, see, let's see who else here. Felicia Nelson, can I start my online business now, although we on lockdown? I asked because I have all of my paperwork, but City Hall is closed. I have a cookie business. Okay, well, Felicia Nelson, if you send me a cookie, I'll give you an answer. I'll put my address here. You can send me a cookie, and then I will get you that answer. But no, just fan. Really, if you have an online business, if your business is online, start it now. I wouldn't wait for City Hall. I wouldn't wait for nobody, really, because remember, to be a business, you only need two things. You need your product or service. You need a customer who's willing to buy. That's it. As long as you got that, start your business. So, Felicia, start your business. You have been included into the challenge. Next week, you better come on here and say that you started that business online. As simple as that. Hey, my auntie's in the building. My auntie Deborah, man, great teaching nephew, man. It's so good to have family support you. It feels good. I feel loved every time my auntie, all the way in Georgia, supporting her nephew. So that's because I'm maybe like the favorite nephew. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. All right, look, we are at 12 minutes in. So then the comments keep rolling in. Y'all are insane tonight. It must be a full moon outside. I got to go out here and see. Brown Sugar Babe says, you're like the big brother. I'm like the big brother I wish I had. That's why I'm your favorite uncle cousin. We family, right? We are all day. We are family. That's why I use this here. Somebody said all their comments got passed up. Well, who did I see now? See, I'm going too fast. I got to go back and look at that. So Christ Chick Conversations, my apologies. I did not mean to pass up all of your comments. I will go back and look at them, but they're just coming in. All right. JW, first time listening. Thank you, JW, first time here. I appreciate you being here. Definitely appreciate you being here. Let's see here. I appreciate all your tips today. Christ Chick come. See, I didn't pass that one up. Got it. I appreciate you being here. Okay. Jay Walter says, don't forget to leave the link for the stimulus check follow-up. I'll make sure I do that. Felicia, is that you have a Twitter? Hit me. Okay. We got that. Can you write this off as a deduction for giving free business tax advice? You can only write it off if you pay for it. If it's free, not gonna work. Not gonna work, Phil. So definitely. All right. Well, look, we are 13 minutes past the hour. I have nothing but love. I'm flooded with emotions right now because we've had such good back and forth, good intake, good questions, good mistakes. I appreciate you guys being transparent with me here on the chat. I'm not sure if you know, but people can still go back and look at this and they'll still see all the chat that comes up. So all of your, again, being open and transparent for other people to see and talk about these mistakes, I appreciate it. If you're new here, like I said, if you're just checking in, man, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Got a lot more things coming out as I'm trying to be consistent. Make sure I'm trying to get you all the most important information out there. As always, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to leave a comment. I do my best to respond to any comment that's left, any email that's received. I do my best to respond to every one of them. If I happen to miss an email, shoot it to me again, and I'll do my best to get back to you. So until then, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Relax. Remember, you have now been put on challenge mode to stop procrastinating. Get started right now. This week, you have 7 days. If within them 7 days you need some assistance, like I said, leave a comment, shoot me an email, because most of the comments I get an alert, they come directly to my phone, so I can see that you left a comment and I can get to you right then and there. But I'm putting you out there. Procrastination is over with. We done. Let's get it done. All right. So I love you guys. Much appreciated. And until then, man, yeah, I guess I will see and talk to y'all later. So peace out. That feels weird ending it that way, but yeah. So now I got to press end. All right, now I'm saying goodbye.